what I wanted to acknowledge. I just want to ask you guys, if you have not already, please go ahead and hit that sub button. Right now we are at 3,086 subscribers. I'd like to get to 3,100 by the end of the month if possible. The more support we get, the more I can put into making content, the more flexibility we'll have, and the support really is appreciated. So thank you guys. If you're not subscribed already, please go ahead and hit that button, click the bell icon. Otherwise, let's jump into the video. So today, there was a brand new Skull Servant card announced. It is called White Baking. Now, I don't know if that's pronounced Baking or Baking, but it's written Baking, so that's how I'm going to pronounce it for the purpose of this video. I'll read you the effect first. This card's name becomes Skull Servant while in the graveyard. If a level 3 or lower zombie monster you control be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can discard this card instead. Then here comes sort of the meat and potatoes of the whole thing. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add 2 monsters with different names from your deck to your hand that are either Skull Servant and or specifically list the card Skull Servant in their text, except himself. Then discard 1 card. You can only use this effect of White Baking once per turn. So there's a lot there. Obviously, he gets the Skull Servant clause, which we'll do a little bit of math, but I believe there's 7 total. So we're looking at 21,000 or 20,000 as the max a Skull Servant could be if you somehow were able to get the whole graveyard filled. On top of that, he's protection for any level 3 or lower zombies, which has some interesting use if, your Skull Servant, King of the Skull Servants, gets popped by something. Discard him. You're not only buffing it up, but you're also protecting it without having to waste a revival and banish something, therefore losing power from the grave. It's that last effect, though. So this basically lets you search any of the Skull Servant support cards. Monsters, if they do make any spells, this isn't going to be direct support for that, but that's okay, because it does a whole lot. And so we're going to look at some of the other Skull Servant cards, starting with White Prince, which I think is easily the most impressive one here to look at because of its synergy with this card. So if it's sent to the grave, you send a Skull Servant and Lady in White from your hand or deck to the graveyard. So immediately, if you search this with Baking, you discard it with Baking's discard effect, you then mill another Skull Servant and Lady in White, and then you can banish this and 2 others to directly pull a King of the Skull Servants from deck. That's a lot of effects, and it's a really neat combo in the sense that you're immediately able to get 4 in the graveyard at least, if not more, depending on what other cards you have access to. The downside of his second effect, of course, is that you have to banish him and 2 other Skull Servants, which means you're taking 3,000 attack out of the grave, but players only have 8,000 life points, so you really shouldn't need to worry about that too much. He is, I think, going to be a key component of this deck. I think you're going to have to play 3 of every copy. As much as the Lady in White is kind of a bricky card, I just think in general it's going to be way too important that you play, all 3 of each one. Lady in White, face up level 3 or lower zombies on the field, except itself, cannot be destroyed by battle, and are unaffected by spells and traps, becomes Skull Servant in grave. 2,200 is not a bad stat. Obviously, it can just, be run over or pop, but you can protect it with Baking. You can then keep your, if you have this on the field and a King of the Skull Servants with some powerful attack, your opponent can't do anything spell and trap-wise. I mean, obviously, he can be like Veilered or whatever, which is going to shut off his stat boost, but this is a pretty solid foundation, assuming you can get a board out and have a decent amount of Skull Servants in the grave. One of the things the deck has struggled with significantly, of course, is consistency. So I don't know whether or not that's immediately fixed with this new card. White Princess is pretty good. If she's normal or special summon, you send a White Prince to the grave, which thereby triggers the milling of the other 2 cards and sort of starts a loop. So now they all kind of get pulled together. And with White Princess being a light monster, you actually have some chaos elements too, which is neat if you were going to play like some of the ones that revolve around banishing. Like I think Chaos Creator can special summon back banished cards, so you can go ahead and get your Skull Servants back in the grave, back in the deck, and sort of work some combos in there. This card, you send it from your hand to the graveyard, and it makes all monsters on the field lose attack and defense equal to their own level or rank. So that's not going to impact you too much with your King of the Skull Servants being a level 1, but at the same time, it's going to allow you to beat over a lot of your opponent's monsters, and again, they can't do anything spell and trap-wise against you if you have that board protection set up. The last one, of course, I mean, obviously, King of the Skull Servants himself, which, for the record, has seen a significant price spike if you have either of the foils. The foil super rare, I think, is like $8 to $10 at last I checked. The Ultra from Speed Duel Tournament Pack, which was a kind of a hard-to-find set that just didn't have a lot going for it in general, is somewhere around $85 to $90 right now. So that's an insane price, but the card's just really hard to find, and obviously people get into hype, in general. The Ultra Rare Skull Servant as well from Legendary Collection Kaiba, which is a really, really cool card just because it's one of the iconic cards from the first set, and he looks nice in an ultra rare. Got bought out as well, so he's around $20, give or take. In other words, the foil versions of the deck have gone up exponentially because people have always liked this deck. It's been kind of a fan favorite, and now that they have a monster that sort of accelerates your combo substantially, there's a good chance that they could actually end up seeing some representation on a wider scale, meaning people may actually come up with a build that works. So I don't know what you guys think. I think as a whole, the deck isn't quite there yet. I think the new card is insane. I think he's definitely going to be useful. I just worry that there's still no way to really pull it all together. If your combo gets stopped, that's, you know, you can play through it, but if your opponent's got a negate on board, you're really not going to be able to get over that, and you're dedicating 18 to 21 cards of your deck just to the Skull Servant engine, meaning that those other 19 cards, assuming you were to just play 3 copies of everything, I mean, there's going to be flexibility, and you're probably not going to want to load up on those. Like I said, I think people are going to have to tweak builds and kind of see what works. Is going to mean you have 19 spots left. That's again for hand traps. That's accounting for, I mean, you got things like tactics, which is going to be solid. But overall, I don't know if this is going to be sort of what brings it together, or if there's going to be a little bit more that the deck needs. That being said, it's definitely exciting, and I'm sure a lot of Skull Servant fans are really looking forward to Blazing Vortex when this comes out, because it'll give you a lot more explosive power in the deck. So let me know what you guys think. Drop a comment down below. Please, if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that sub button. It's really appreciated, like I said, and I'm trying to get back in the regularity of making videos more often, even if we're just sort of talking about different cards and different things like that, as well as getting back to openings. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time, right here at Legend. Bye-bye.